am live. Sound is also working well. Sound is also working well. Sandeep Kumar is already online. एसी का हमिंग साउंड आ रहा है? सेकेंड हाफ में लगे, सेकेंड हाफ में लगे। अभी लाइव हो गया शुरू। I'm ready, sir. We are live. वाइट का फोटोग्राफ है, ब्लॉन्ड का फोटोग्राफ है, मशीन का फोटोग्राफ है, येलो ब्लू का फोटोग्राफ है, और पांचवा लास्ट में we'll be waiting for 2 minutes and then we'll start. One minute more, 1 minute to go. Then start. अच्छे क्लास में जा रहे हैं। सेकंड ऑनली का सेकंड इसको सेकंड तो फर्स्ट ईयर में क्लास नहीं था प्रैक्टिकल्स खत्म हो गया सिलेबस फिनिश एग्जाम डन ओ सेकंड ईयर मतलब ये सेकंड बैच जो ट्रेनिंग से आया वो मैं जो ट्रेनिंग में जा रहा हूं जो ट्रेनिंग से आया उसके लिए
So we will have this this week, and then next week most probably maybe a couple of more classes. That's
Then is over. Then only we have normal.
then we have theory. Then they will have exams now.
Online. Then we will do only parent session. Only once. Twice a week or twice a week.
Yeah.
Parent session. Because they also busy with the exam.
Okay, we start. Good morning, everyone, and rather 1 minute to good afternoon also. So this is our second class, second episode of the French sauces and their derivatives, and at the same time, our last class where we made a concasse, a tomato sauce per se, and then we also made an espagnole. And then, of course, we have chosen a dish which is a combination of brown sauce and tomato concasse. We made a chasseur with a little bit of a changes, mushrooms added, etc., etc. In today's class, we will be starting with another important stock. Like yesterday, we made brown stock. Today, we will be making white stock. And from white stock, we will be making velouté because we're making a chicken stock. So we automatically make a chicken velouté. And then we will also, because we are making white roux and we're making blonde roux for the velouté, and I'm going to take out some white roux from there, and we are also going to make some bechamel. So primarily, if you look at the class today, we'll be making a stock, we'll be making velouté, we'll be making bechamel, and we will also be finally ending all this in a dish, which will be a dish of chicken, which is going to be a stuffed chicken breast, seared on the pan, and then served with black pepper and mushroom sauce. We're going to do black mushroom sauce along with the velouté. So that's my kind of going to suit the color and the taste. And I'm going to stuff the chicken breast and sear, and then cook the chicken breast in the oven. So to start with, it's very important to understand that today's stock is white stock. We do not want any bones to be brown. We do not want any mirepoix to be brown. So mirepoix is the same like we had yesterday. We had 1:1 parts of onions and carrots and half part of leeks. That is the mirepoix. I have already made bouquet garni. We discussed bouquet garni yesterday. Bouquet garni, some bay leaves, some thyme, I have put in some celery, parsley stalks in it, and then I have also put in some celery. Okay, and so this is our bouquet garni, and this is our and then we have what I did is today I had a whole chicken from which I was supposed to take out the chicken breast. So I deboned the chicken and I took out nice bones, washed them very clean, and after washing the bones, I drained them a little bit. I did not want too much of water to be in, because today what we're going to do is, yesterday like in the brown sauce, we roasted the bones. Today we're going to sweat the bones. Okay, we're not going to roast it. So we'll sweat the bones today. So for sweating the bones, what we're going to do is, I'm taking a thick bottomed pan today. It's an iron thick bottomed pan. I'm adding a little bit of an oil here into the pan, and very little oil, and I'm going to switch on fairly less. I'm going to add in a couple of bay leaves, although I have bouquet garni. I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves here, and then after a little while, because I do not want the bones to get brown today, so the bones go right away into the pan. bones right away go into the pan, and just a little, because I told you we'll have to sweat the bone, so the temperature is very low. Uh, no coloring of the bone, and for a few seconds the lid goes on top for a few seconds so that the bone sweat. So because I've kept a very medium temperature, they're not going to stick to the bottom, they're just going to sweat inside. Okay, and they're going to seal themselves. And then once that is done, I'm going to put in some water. I've already put in some bay leaf in here. I'm going to add a couple of cubes, peppercorns into it, and then I'm going to obviously add the water. Just a little bit more. So we are basically looking, by sweating the bones, what we are looking at, we're looking at these bones to change color a little bit. And what will happen is they'll turn into white completely. They are pinkish now, so they will turn into white. That is the change in the protein that's going to happen. And once this happens, okay, and so we are almost there. Okay, so I'm going to add water now. Just enough water to for the bones to sink in. Okay, now at this stage I'll increase the temperature a little bit, and I'm going to add in a few peppercorns here. Bay leaf I have already added. So at some stage, once this has started simmering a little bit, I'm going to add the mirpua. I will first remove the impurities from top. So there will be some froth that's going to come on the top. I'm going to remove that because those will be impurities of the source of the stock. We'll remove them. And after removing the impurities, what we're going to do is we're going to put in the mukigarni, and we're going to add in these vegetables. So let it cook. In the meantime, because it's going to take some time, normally a white stock also would be easily cooked for an hour or so. So we'll see how much maximum we can give it. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my chicken, and we will prepare the chicken in the meantime. So I'll just introduce you what I have done. I have deboned the chicken with the skin chicken, because that is what cooks the best. I have deboned the chicken, and I have Frenched the chicken wing, and I have the chicken. And what I have done from the leg, I made some coarse chicken wings from the leg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a little bit of a force meat from this leg. I'm going to stuff that force meat into the chicken breast, and I'm going to then marinate the chicken breast with a little bit of salt, pepper, a little bit of oil, and that's it. And we're going to put this into an oven. First I'll sear it, then we'll put it into the oven, and then it cooks till the time we are ready. So for the mince, for the stuffing, what I'm going to do is I'm adding in a little bit of chopped celery, a little bit of chopped leeks, a little bit of chopped garlic. I'm going to add some salt, some white pepper, and just a little bit of, what I've done is I just diced some red peppers, red capsicum, pimento, just for the color contrast. And I'm going to also add some chopped parsley into this. And if you wish, a little bit of cream to give that slightly creamish texture, and I mix it nicely. So this is a force meat, which please remember, this is not very fine. It's not like a farce. It's just being chopped finely with a knife. It's not been minced. Okay, so it will have that texture in it when we cut it. Okay, so this goes on the side for the time being. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chicken, and you will have to follow this very carefully. What I've done is I have, if you see, I have left some extra skin on the top of this chicken. Okay, if you see this breast, I have left some extra skin on top. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife, flatten my knife, keep my hand on top, and push the knife right in from the head of the chicken breast all the way down, making sure that it does not get exposed at any stage, and it goes all the way to the edge, maximum whatever down you can go. If you see, my knife is here. See, I cannot bend it. Okay, so this is exactly what I want you to do. Then turn the knife over. This is another way of stuffing a chicken. There are a lot of people. Okay, our stock has started boiling. I am reducing the temperature because I will have to remove the scum. I will let it collect for some couple of more minutes, and then in the meantime I finish this. So what I've done is I made a huge pocket inside the chicken. A huge pocket. Okay, you can at least fit in 2 of your fingers inside this pocket. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this stuffing that I made just now, and I'm going to take this stuffing and I'm going to fill it up into the piping bag, disposable piping bag. Okay, I'll try to fit in as much as I can fit into this. Okay, so fold in the piping bag and press. And now what I'm going to do is push this piping bag right into this chicken breast and pipe the chicken stuffing all the way to the end of the chicken breast. Flatten it up so that it does not, because it needs some space later on to cook. And if you remember in the beginning when I was showing you the chicken breast, I told you that I have some extra skin on top. So that skin I am folding over. I'm folding over like this. Okay. And I will, although there are very little chances of this stuffing leaking because there is no cheese, there is not too much of cream which is going to leak. But still, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a toothpick or a shashlik stick and I'm going to push it through in so that this becomes a kind of a lid for the side where we cut it. Okay, so you have a nicely stuffed. So what I'm going to do now is very simple. I just leave it on the side. Some salt, some white pepper, some salt, and some white pepper. Okay. I'm going to leave this like this for some time. Let it marinate a little bit, and then we will see what we'll do. Okay, so now let's go back to our stock. Slowly, steadily, I'm removing this. Take a bowl with water and slowly, steadily remove the froth that has come on top. You need to have a bowl filled with water that will be easy to clean, but if you have a tap nearby, you can also use the tap. Of course, saving water, not keeping the tap open all the time, and make sure that you don't remove too much of stock from the pan. Okay, so the stock is now is now on a simmer. It's not boiling anymore. Okay, it's on a simmer. There are some droplets of fat also which have collected on the side. I am removing that. I will again be removing these, removing the scum from the top. But at this stage now, what I can do is I can add in the mirpua. Mirpua goes in, and just a little bit of a shake so that it is uniformly distributed across. There is going to be more scum on top. I'm going to remove it. Okay, and just a little increase in the temperature. I still want it to simmer. I don't want it to boil. So just one more degree of increase of temperature. So our chicken is marinated now. So what I'm going to do is, while my stock is cooking, because I need stock to make velouté, I'm going to start with doing the roux. Okay, so as I told you in the beginning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a white roux and I'm going to do a blonde roux. So the white roux we will make bechamel from, and the blonde roux we will make velouté. Okay, so just need one clove. So what I'm doing is, for the bechamel, there are two ways. Either you take a studded onion. What you do with the studded onion is you take an onion and you fold it and you finally seal it with a clove. Okay, or you can straight away, if you don't want to use a clove, you can still use something like a toothpick, or else what you can do is you can just add in some nutmeg into the sauce if you don't want that off flavor in the sauce. So what I'm doing is I'm just making a studded onion with adding some bay leaf into it. Okay, so we have the studded onion now, and along with that, butter. You can see there is more froth has started coming. I'm letting it go. So equal quantities of butter and flour go into the pan. So what I'm doing is I'm making two roux. I'm making a white roux and a blonde roux. So I'm making little more. So butter in the pan. I just melted it. I just left it beside the oven and it is melted. So I'm putting in around 100 odd grams of butter, and I have here almost the same amount of flour. So let the butter warm up a little bit. You can see in the meantime, let us again go to our stock and remove the froth from top. As soon as the vegetables go inside, mirpua goes inside the stock, you will see that the stock has already started leaving flavor. Okay, that's why we say we have to use aromatic vegetables in the stock. Aromatic vegetables are those vegetables which have aroma of their own, but they are not overpowering. They are not very strong. They will still let the dish come out of themselves. Okay. So that is why we call them aromatic vegetables. So these are all aromatic vegetables: onions and carrot and leeks. Sometimes people also use celery. Okay, it was common usage to add celery into the mirpua in the early days when we were training. Okay, so butter and around the same amount of flour goes in. You have to be very sure it should not be at a very hot, in very hot temperature. I had just a little more weight, flour more weight here. So let me start and then we will see in case we can add some more. We need some more flour. Okay, so as I told you, I will be making two roux, and like yesterday we made a brown roux. Obviously the roux goes from stage by stage. If you look at it, if you mix them at very low temperature, it is burmani, and then when you reduce the temperature further, and when you increase the temperature and you raise it, and it becomes almost a kind of a creamy floating consistency, then it is white roux. And once it starts becoming white, sandy texture, that means it is blonde roux. And after that, it again changes texture, and the binding of the binding, the denaturalization of the carbohydrate takes over. And once that happens, it starts turning into brown, which is finally used for brown sauce. Espanol, etc., etc. So the white roux goes for the bechamel, the blonde roux goes for veloutes, all veloutes. You can make veloutes from beef stock. There is a very wrong perception. You can't make white stock from beef. You can make white stock from beef. You can make white stock from wheat. You can make white stock from poultry. You can make white stock from vegetables, and vice versa. You can do that from. Now the difference is, for the veloutes, you have to, for the white stocks, you have to use blanched bones or sautéed bones like we did today. But for the brown stocks, you will have to use roasted bones. Okay, so I'm just increasing the temperature now that I have the control of the roux, and it's already started, almost going to the first stage, the white roux. I'm going to keep a container ready here. Okay, so as I was telling you, you can use this studded onion in the milk when you are boiling the milk initially, or you can use the studded onion here inside the roux if you want. Okay, I'm using it inside the roux. As it heats, now the only reason why we use a studded onion is basically it converts that sweet flavor of the milk into savory flavor. Okay, and that is why when you make a white sauce, you add nutmeg to it, because then it gives a flavor which is a little savory flavor. Otherwise, the milk would be on the sweeter side. Okay, so as the roux is started cooking quickly now, I'm going to keep one bowl ready here, because I will have to remove the first lot of white roux from here, and then I'm going to convert the rest of the roux into blonde roux. So as soon as the roux gives a little bit of a cooking smell, I will remove the first lot. For that, I need a very dry ladle. Okay, you have to be very patient with the roux, because once it starts leaving a little bit of a cooked flavor of the flour. Okay, something like the flavor is something like this. You are sitting in the drawing room, and your mother is making halwa in the kitchen, and the smell of the halwa cooking comes from the kitchen into the drawing room, and you know that there is a suji cooking inside the kitchen, or she's making upma. So that is the kind of flavor that should come from a roux, and that means now the white roux is ready, and of course it starts leaving a little bit of liquid also. Okay, now I'm removing some part of the roux from here. Remember, roux can be really very hot. They are almost like mini volcanoes. Okay, they can really get very hot. So you have to be very careful. I am reducing the heat further. Okay, so we have some amount of roux which I have removed from here. The rest I am leaving in, and because I need to make blonde roux from here. So I just I will switch on off this for a second. And you can see this is white roux. Okay, if you leave it like this for some time, it will leave the oil and it will be hard enough so you can actually strain that oil. Okay, I go back to the roux. I had left it in between. Very low temperature, as I said. I need to now go to a texture which is going to be very close to white sandy texture. As soon as it gets a white sandy texture, I am going to remove it from the range, and I'm going to keep it aside so that it does not cook any further. Okay, it's already cooking. Just a few more seconds and it will be there on the white sandy texture, which is going to be my blonde roux. I'll keep another plate ready in the meantime, because I'll put the blonde roux into that plate and show it to you. And then the same blonde roux we will use later on to make velouté in combination with this stock. Okay, it's already started bubbling. That means, you know, it is very close to that sandy texture which we are expecting. I'm cooking it very cautiously at low temperature because I have a big pan and fairly little quantity of roux. So if I leave it out of control, it's going to become brown very fast. Okay, so just a little bit of patience and it's going to automatically convert to the next. And as I told you yesterday, you need to preempt the stage at which you need to remove the roux from the pan, because it is still going to keep cooking. Okay, and if it keeps cooking with the latent heat, it's going to turn from light brown into dark brown later on. So you have to be very careful, especially if it is less. If it is too much, you can still dilute it. Okay, we are almost there because the oil has started splitting, the fat, the butter has started splitting, and we will now have that sandy texture. I already have some texture on the sides. So what happens is, as soon as it touches the sides, the butter, melted butter floats down to the floor of the pan, and you get that sandy kind of a texture on the sides. Okay, because I'm keeping the temperature low, so it's going to take a little bit of a time. Careful, it should not get overcooked, and the whole thing will get spoiled. It will become brown roux, which we do not want. We want it to remain blonde. Okay, we are almost there. So you can use the whisk and the spatula alternately. It's the same is the case when you're making a bechamel. You should use the spatula. Okay, I'm reducing the heat. Okay. So we are there already. I'm going to remove the onion. And of course, now the roux. I take the help of the spatula to clean up my pan. I don't want to leave any roux inside. Okay. So this is the blonde roux. If you want to see both of them together and you want to see the difference for yourself, you can see two different roux, two different colors, white and blonde. Okay, so I got the white roux back because I will have to now, I will start with the white sauce or the bechamel. Okay, for the bechamel, which is of course one of the very basic mother sauces. So if you remember, the stock is now already in for 15-20 minutes. I've already removed the scum a couple of times. I'm going to do it once more, and then I'm going to put in the bouquet garni. Just a little bit more here, not much actually. Okay, that. So at this stage, I'll put in the bouquet garni into the pan. Leave the thread. So I have the liberty of removing it whenever I feel like removing it. Just dip it so that you get the best benefit of the biryani, of the flavor. It does not come on top because it's light, so it may come on top. Right. Okay, so I have with me now the white roux that we had made. I have with me milk. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to make a basic bechamel. Now, you all know equal quantities of butter and flour, at least 10 times milk goes in it. So what happens is people generally stop adding milk when they feel that they have achieved the consistency. Okay, but you have to remember that if you just add in the roux and the milk and you don't let it cook together, you are not going to get a very good consistency. What will happen is if you stop at that and you felt that you got consistency, as soon as you put it into the refrigerator or you leave it on the side, it will become like almost like a demolded kind of a custard. We don't want that. We want a nice and thin white sauce or a bechamel, which is our mother sauce, which we are going to use later on for a lot of other things. And what should be the consistency of the bechamel? It should be coating the back of the spoon. That should be the consistency. That's it. Bechamel is ready. Add in some nutmeg powder on top and keep it in the fridge. Whenever you want to use it, you can use it later on. Can you tell Chef to need some nutmeg and grater? Right. So what we can do is, so it's always, you should always remember that whenever you are making bechamel, one should be warm and one should be cold. The roux should be cold and the milk can be warm, or the roux can be warm and the milk has to be cold. Okay, and it has to be added into each other at intervals. Don't add everything together. Okay, so I'm going to heat milk. And if you remember, I had already added this studded onion into the roux. And in the morning, because I had warmed this milk a little bit in the morning, I had added a studded onion into the milk in the morning also. So this is almost around 500 ml of milk that I'm using, and I just added it. Let it become a little warm, and then I will start slowly. See, I was telling you, as soon as you see that the roux is cooked, it will automatically start leaving fat. Okay, the oil is all coming out of the roux, and that will mean that the sauce that I'm going to make is not going to be very oily. It's not going to be a very fatty sauce. So although you're making a sauce from milk and you're putting some carbohydrate into it, starch into it, still your sauce is not going to be very oily. Okay, so let it warm up a little bit. Whisk ready on one side, and we will add the. Okay, there is one tip. If you're making white sauce in large quantities, don't bother. Take the roux, add some water into it, dilute it, mix it nicely, dilute it, make it into a slurry, and keep on adding into the white sauce. If you're making large quantities, let's say 10 liters, 15 liters, 20 liters, okay, it really helps to get dissolved faster. In small quantities, you can still strain in case there is an issue. Okay, so we'll just wait for the milk to warm up a little bit, and I'm going to add in the roux slowly into it, and of course continuously also keep on whisking. So one very important thing that we need to understand is we will keep on whisking it, and while we are adding the roux, so my roux, whatever roux I had made according to the quantities, is little more than I will require for this white sauce. Okay, so I know exactly that I will have to stop at 70% consumption of this roux. I'm letting the bay leaf go in. No problem. We had added that bay leaf. It has broken a little bit, so I'm adding almost by now. I added this. If you remember what I said is never ever add too much of roux into the white sauce. At that stage, don't wait for it to thicken immediately at the same time when you're making it. If it is an emergency, then it's fine. But if it's not an emergency, then you let the milk and the roux cook together so that it all comes together. Add in a little bit of nutmeg, grated nutmeg into it, and let the flavors come together. Let it cook together for some time. Okay, and then only you will understand that you know what consistency. I will show you today what consistency we require. So once I have whisked and everything, I'll show you with a ladle that you know it's completely lump free, and we are also going to strain it later on in case there is some lump on the side, etc., etc. We will take care of that. Okay, now I will show you what's happened to this sauce. I'm going to reduce the temperature a little bit, and you can see that it's already started thickening, but it's not there still. Okay, it will take some time. If you see, you can see this line. I'll get it closer. Okay, see this. You can see this line on the back of the spoon. That means it has coated the back of the spoon. So we are almost there. We'll not cook it anymore. We'll just cook it for a few more minutes, and then it's done. Okay, as of now, it's almost very close. So no more roux in. Okay, no more roux. So we are done. We'll cook it for some more time. The stock is nice and flavorful. So please remember, don't expect the bechamel to become very thick and creamy at the time when you're cooking it. When it sits inside the refrigerator or outside the refrigerator, it will still continue thickening. So you have to give it that space, and you have to give it that space of the starch gelatinizing inside the milk or in the stock when we are making a velouté. Okay, so don't expect it to become very, very thick right in the beginning. Okay, so just leave it, as I was telling you, just leave it at the stage when it has started coating the back of the spoon. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just to be sure, I'm going to strain it through a strainer in case we don't have any lumps. So we are almost there. No seasoning at this stage. The only thing that I'm going to, I'll just strain 2 spoons and show you the consistency, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of nutmeg in here. Okay, so you can see that it is spreading automatically. It's not like we have almost something which is very sticky. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add in some finely grated nutmeg into it for that flavor. So what it does, as I told you, it does the same thing as the onion does. It actually brings in that savory flavor into, and always whenever you're using spinach, whenever you're using milk in cooking, you should always add nutmeg. Okay, it gets that earthy flavor out, and it gives that savory flavor to the sauce. And always remember, whenever you keep bechamel in the refrigerator or you keep it outside, always keep it covered. Otherwise, you will have a crust on top, wrapped on top, which you will have to later on discard, and that is a lot of wastage. No seasoning of the sauce as yet, because I am not using it for cooking as of now. I will be using it later on in the kitchen, so I am not seasoning it at all. So you see, it's almost a thick cream consistency as of now. I don't want it to become, if I want to use a colloquial language, I don't want it to become a white lay. Okay, so this is bechamel. It always helps maybe in adding a block of butter on top, so that it does not, the butter comes up after some time and it forms a layer on top. So this is our bechamel. Okay, I have to orient myself with the camera. So this is our bechamel. Okay, right? So we're not making anything with the bechamel now, but I will be making velouté with the blanc roux. So I have the blanc roux here now. And what I'm going to do is, before I go to the velouté, I'm going to sear the chicken and put it into the oven. Okay, for searing the chicken, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this pan. I'll just tidy up a little bit. I'll take this pan and fairly high temperature oil. And I'm adding a little bit of a couple of sprigs of thyme into the oil here. I'm adding a couple of cloves of garlic into the pan here. Slightly big segments of leeks and celery, just to give it a little bit of a flavor. That's it. And of course, I want a little nutty brown color also on the chicken. So if you remember, what we did with the chicken is, we just kind of I did marinated it. I had French the chicken. I had removed. I actually made a pocket inside the chicken, stuffed it with a farce or a force meat, which is made up of chicken, black, red pepper, a little bit of crushed black pepper, salt, a little bit of cream. I added into it, and just for color, I added red pimento, or you can say red capsicum into it, and I have French the chicken breast. And as I told you, I have kept some extra skin on top, which is basically acting as the barrier for the stuffing not to come out. Okay, I'll trim it later. I just kind of cook it like this before. Fairly hot pan, and the oil is already flavored. The oil is already flavored with the garlic and celery leeks. Okay, I'll let it, not disturb it, I'll let it become brown on one side, on the skin side, and then I'll turn it over for a few seconds on the other side, and just press it a little bit because we have stuffing in, and I'll just press it so that it cooks uniformly. And in the meantime, just a little bit of a splatter of the oil. Okay, we need the skin to be brown, and then of course we're going to put it into the oven for cooking. So this flavored oil, I'll get it into the side, the flavored oil on top, so that we have this nice flavor of the garlic and the celery and the leeks and thyme on top inside the skin. I'm also going to add it on the top so that it seals faster. Okay. This is now my topmost setting of the induction. Some more color. Remember, we have stuffed this chicken breast. Bring it to the side so that the sides also get colored equally. And we have this garlic and thyme, etc., which is going to give that nice flavor. Just adding some extra water into the stock. Okay. Yes. So you can see we have a nice brown color on the skin, and I've just turned it over, and I'm going to cook it for a minute on the other side, and then it goes directly into the oven. I have this grill. I'm going to put in this chicken on top of the grill on a plate, and I'm going to later on resurrect some juices because I don't want the juices today. I'm cooking it in the balloon plate, so you could collect those juices also. Some more oil on top. This will help in making the skin even more crispier. This is the problem with the induction. As soon as you lift the pan, it starts talking. So, but we have no option. Okay, another 30 seconds and it will go into the oven. I'm going to retain this oil. I'm going to remove all these garlic, etc., because they've already done their job. I'm going to retain this oil and I'm going to use it later on when we finish the sauce. Okay, so this chicken goes on top of the grill. And I will put it on top of a tray so that the juices don't fall into the oven directly. And it goes in 150 degrees, and I'm going to take it to around 25 minutes. Induction setting. I'm going to retain this oil, but I'll discard the vegetables because they will now burn in this and they will give a burn smell. So I have nice flavored oil which I'm going to of course use it later when I'm finishing the sauce. Okay, now I go to the velouté. So if you look at these sauces, the bechamel and the velouté, the only difference in the composition is that a bechamel uses milk as a liquid, and velouté is more adventurous in that form. It can use a lot of stocks. It can use a veal stock. It can use a white beef stock. It can use a chicken stock. It can use a stock of the veal, as I was saying earlier. So what we're going to do now is we're going to our stock has cooked for more than half an hour now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the stock from there, and in the meantime I'm going to use the blonde roux that we had made earlier, and I'm going to make a velouté out of it and let it cook for some time. Okay, so I am taking out the stock. Okay, now I can lift it and empty it. This is so aromatic. This is so flavorful, and it's very clear, right? So don't press it too much, but at least take out all the goodness of the soup, of the stock. Right. So this goes back into the stock pot, and the stock pot goes away. Right. So we have the stock here now. So as you know, we are making chicken velouté because we will be cooking a chicken dish with it using a chicken velouté, and this is a chicken stock. So what I'm going to do now is obviously simmer, and we're going to follow the same process as we did earlier for the. So from this velouté, I'm going to prepare a sauce which I am going to put in. So I will have some black mushroom in the sauce. I will have some marinated black pepper in the sauce. marinated black pepper in the sauce, and I will also have some leeks and celery, a little bit of leeks and celery in that sauce, and of course some seasoning, and then cream. Finish it with cream, and we are going to use it as a topping for the chicken that we make. Okay, so a little bit of celery in here, whisk, and as we did earlier, I'm going to leave that, take out that extra fat from the roux. And take it from this. So what is happening is, I think you will be able to see here better. Yeah. So what is happening is this will start boiling now, and slowly and steadily I'm going to add in. I'm going to add in this roux. Okay. Fairly low temperature. I just need to remove some impurities from here. Some scum has come. I'll take that out. Done. Okay, so simmering, and you put in the roux slowly into it and stir it. Use a whisk. We have now almost 700 ml of stock. Okay, and we will not need too much of roux in the stock. And remember, like the bechamel, we are not going to cook it till the time it becomes very thick. We are going to leave it because we will be finishing this sauce separately. I will be flavoring it with some wine. As I told you, I have some marinated black pepper ready. I'll be putting some marinated black pepper. I have some mushrooms. I'll be putting in some mushrooms in there. All this goes into the pan where we had that flavored oil, and then I put in the velouté and I finish the sauce in there. But only when our chicken is ready, and also at the same time I will have it will take some time for this also to come together. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare vegetables as an accompaniment for the accompanying of our chicken dish. So what I have here, I have some shallots, and I have a black pepper, sorry, a red pepper. So what I'm going to do is I will use one side of the red pepper, just one portion I have, and the white, just cut it into Chinese or Oriental style triangles. Okay, and I cut the shallots into just two. I have one more onion here, and I'll just cut it again into triangle kind of cut. Okay, so if you see the velouté is now simmering. I need it to kind of come to the same consistency where we can where it coats the back of the spoon. I'll get it to the same consistency, and once that happens, I'm going to start making the sauce. In the meantime, let me prepare these vegetables. So what I'm going to do with these vegetables, very simply, I'll add in some oil here and a little bit of butter. A little bit of thyme, and some chopped garlic. Okay, and let it cook for some time. And then I will put in this shallots and the red pepper together at very high heat, and I'm going to cook it, caramelize them a little bit, just add a little bit of salt on top, and we have some accompaniment for the plate of food that we are going to make. Okay, so velouté on one side, our chicken is almost 10 minutes away, uh, around 10 minutes away. So in the meantime, let's finish these vegetables. So what we'll do is we'll not cook them at very low temperature. We're going to cook them at fairly high temperature. I've added some garlic, some thyme here, fresh thyme, and I'm going to first add in the shallots. I'm not going to cook it too much. Just add in the shallots, just to caramelize them a little bit. Turn it over a little bit so that they caramelize at the back first. Okay, the red pepper, bell pepper, all in one side. Little bit of salt. Okay, so the peppers and the onions, shallots have started caramelizing on one side. I'm going to taste the velouté a little bit at this stage, and I'm also going to show you the consistency. Okay, so I'll show you again like I showed it for the white sauce. You can see the spoon, and I'll move my finger on top. You will see that the sauce separated. That means we have the right consistency of the sauce. Now I'm going to switch it off. The vegetables are nice and caramelized. I'm going to remove them. These are an accompaniment for the main dish, just to give a little bit of color to the plate. And I'm going to bring in this plate and dish out the velouté. Okay, you can see the velouté. Can I have the bechamel? Yes. So you can compare the bechamel and the veloute. You can even from the camera you can understand that how different they are in texture and flavor and color. Okay. इसका picture होगा? So do a picture of this also. And then do a combined picture of both together. Okay, so we come back. The chicken is just a couple of minutes away. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish the sauce. Okay, as I told you, I have some mushrooms, black mushrooms. I'm going to keep the black mushrooms in here. I'm going to take some chopped garlic, just a little bit of a chopped garlic into the pan. I'm not heating the pan as of now. Some chopped onions together into the pan. A little bit of chopped leeks, very fine chopped leek. Some chopped celery in here, and I have some marinated black pepper. I'm going to add some now and some I'm going to leave for the garnish. I'm going to switch on. Remember, I don't want to color this at all because this is a veloute and it has to stay white. A couple of sprigs of thyme in here, which of course I'm going to take out later on. Horizontal picture of this one. Move together. Okay, right? So just a little bit of butter. And a few pieces of this mushroom for the flavor. I'm going to add some water into this pan because I don't want this to caramelize. Just one boil and I will put in the veloute. The chicken is 2 minutes away. I'll be using a dark colored plate today because the sauce is light. Okay, veloute. I'm adding a little bit of wine into this. I will also use some mushrooms later on for the garnish. I also have caper berries. I'm going to chop one caper berry and put the other one, leave the other one for the garnish. Just cut it into 4 or 8. So if you can see this, it's a little off-white. I also added some white wine into it, little off-white gravy. We'll be adding some cream in the finishing, so it's going to be really light and creamy, but I'm not going to make it too thick. So it's going to be a flowing kind of a gravy along with the flowing sauce along with this. So at this stage, I'm adding a little bit of salt because we have not added any salt into the velouté. I'm adding in a little bit of white pepper. Okay, please remember I have some marinated pepper, black pepper in, okay, which I have crushed, which will be split. What I did is I marinated. I took the pepper first. I crushed it with a rolling pin, put it into some vinegar and water, and boiled it for some time. Now it's soft, and it also has that flavor in it. I'm adding in some little bit of water. I want all this to come together and boil a little bit more before I put in the cream. Okay, I'm using this caperberry for garnish. I'm just leaving it here, and chicken is there. Okay, so while the sauce is cooking, let me kind of recap what we did today. So this is the second class revision class for us for the mother sauces and dishes made out of, or you can say, derivations of the mother sauces. So yesterday we did espanol and we did tomato sauce. Today we did bechamel and we did velouté. So what we did initially today is we started with making the stock. We added the bouquet garni, the mirepoix into the stock. We had bones. The bones were sauteed first. We added the mirepoix at some stage. Added water. Let it cook. Then we added the bouquet garni into it. Skimmed it and then let it simmer for almost 45-50 minutes. We could have done it more because white stock can easily be cooked for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours also, depending on what bones you're using. So you can see, and then we converted it, then we made roux. One of the roux was the white roux, which we converted into bechamel, and the second roux was the second stage roux, which we call blonde roux, which we converted into velouté. So we have velouté here, and what I have done is I have some chicken which I marinated. I stuffed it, and I'm going to cut that chicken, put it into the plate. Along with that, we have some peppers, red peppers and shallots which have been caramelized. I did some garlic and some thyme into it while we were caramelizing them, just to give a contrast to the dish that we're going to have today. Okay, so the chicken is almost there, maybe a few seconds. So that is what we did for today. And finally, I started making a sauce. I added some chopped leeks, some chopped celery, a little bit of chopped onions, garlic into it, sauteed it, added some water, then added the velouté in, and then the mushrooms which I had blanched in the morning. These are black mushrooms which we blanched in the morning, and then I cut it into segments. Okay, so temperature very less now. I'm going to finish this sauce with cream. This is cooking cream. So you can see now, we have almost a flowing consistency, which I'm going to cook for some more time so that it thickens a little bit and gives me that coating consistency on the back of the spoon. Okay, just a little bit simmer, and I'll put it at very low temperature because my chicken is yet to come out. Okay, for the next session tomorrow, we are going to do a regional cuisine tomorrow. We are going to do Kashmiri cuisine. We are kind of trying to get as many ingredients as possible Tomorrow we'll be doing a few dishes of Kashmiri cuisine which are there on our syllabus, and also a couple of dishes, one dish maybe which is not there on the syllabus. So that is just to get all that combination correct. I was looking for we have a tikki on the menu, which is made which is primarily made with the lotus stem, but we are still trying for the lotus stem. If we get it, wonderful, then we'll make it, otherwise we will replace it with something else. Okay, so the chicken is there already. Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get it a little behind. Okay, just let it rest for a few seconds. I'm going to remove these garlic and all which we had on top. It can also stay. There are some which are nicely caramelized. Okay, so the bone comes up. All right. Great. I'm going to avoid the last tip part. You can see the stuffing. It's nice and light. Okay, and it's very juicy. It's not dried up like a sausage. Okay, I'm just taking out that toothpick which we had inserted in. Okay, I'm now taking the vegetables that I had caramelized earlier, switched off the stove on the sauce. Okay, as I told you earlier, I'm going to use one of the caper berries, but before that, let me first spoon in the sauce. Mushrooms. Some more mushroom in here. Just a little inside. And I have some nice fresh parsley sprigs. I'm going to put in here. And of course, some nicely crushed uh, one caper berry. And as I told you, I have some marinated black pepper. I'm going to add that marinated black pepper on top. So this will give that crunch to the sauce and a little acidic touch because we have boiled them in vinegar, and some finely chopped parsley on top. Okay, so So that is basically our stuffed chicken, seared chicken stuffed breast of chicken with velouté, which has got mushrooms, caper berries, and black pepper on it. Okay, I'll get it closer. Okay, I have to look at the screen and see how you can see it. I can turn it over for you so that you can see, okay, the vegetables and the chicken, right? Okay, that brings us towards the end of this session. Today we did uh, white roux, we did blonde roux, we did a white stock, we made velouté from it, we made bechamel, and after making velouté, we made a dish out of velouté, which was basically pan-seared breast of chicken, which was stuffed inside with the farce, and then along with that, we served some roasted vegetables, pan-roasted vegetables, and we garnished it with marinated peppers, marinated black pepper, and caper berries. So that was for today, and tomorrow will be again back again. As I said, we have Kashmiri cuisine tomorrow, so we'll be doing few dishes of Kashmiri cuisine. Thank you very much. Stay at home. Keep on revising. These all links are with you. Keep on watching them again and again and again. And if you wish, you can also try a few of them at home, which you feel you can do. Don't rush outside for ingredients. Whatever you have at home, try and do the best out of it, or whatever time you go out to buy ingredients, keep your eyes open, see whatever best you can get, and try and do it at home. Thank you very much, and hope to see all of you back in the college soon.